capital wrapper, and then fist bump. This is carbon finance and fist bump. I love it. Will benefit insurance, rock size, scaling.
More surface area than a rock, then something that might have taken 1,000,000 years to weather can now be fully weathered in just a few years. And I think my analogy I always give is like every morning I wake up to make coffee, and if I just chuck coffee beans into a French press, I'm gonna wait a really long time to get a really depressing coffee. But if you grind the coffee up, you're opening up all the reactive surface areas, and then you can get a really potent brew very quickly. And it's the same process for enhanced rock weathering. So that's my ERW in a nutshell.
How fine does it have to be?
We're talking about less than 4mm products generally for enhanced rock weathering.
Can you visualize 4mm is like how big?
Yeah, so
It's like a sandwich.
yeah, so what would be a good analogy? Probably like, since we're talking about fruits, something just slightly bigger than like those seeds on strawberries.
Know me,
or
I'm
something.
Lydia. I used to be an investment banker for 10 years. Now I'm doing my carbon financing venture, which is called Seoi.Cure CDR.
If people who don't understand the risk, there's no way they can price it. And that's why it's very important to understand the very, very basic level, what kind of risk that you're facing, what kind of industry that you're going into. Now we have everyone. The time that ERW clicked for me is when I was working for Barclays. I actually went to an Undo's field trip, and I was sitting there with all the ERW scientists. I went to the first ERW event.
I'm one of the co-founders of Kita. We provide insurance for carbon removal projects. This diagram I use to show to actuaries across our insurance capacity providers, explain to them the risks inherent in enhanced rock weathering projects so that they would let us provide insurance for it. Why is insurance important? Because it unlocks finance. It's difficult to lend money to enhanced rock weathering projects because you're unsure ultimately how many credits are going to be produced if that's what you're securing your lending on. Whereas with insurance, you can get an insured tranche, which at least will say, well, if the project goes wrong, then you will get some of your money back or more of your money back depending on the insurance. And that's what lenders, specialist lenders, it's what banks, it's what others need in order to deploy capital into this market.
Xin Liu. I'm the Director of Science Research and Innovation at Undo, which is an enhanced rock weathering company based here in the UK.
My name's Katie Earle. I'm a product manager at Isometric, which is a standards body for carbon removal projects and a carbon credit registry. We focus on high quality carbon removal.
My name is Ashish Kumar. I'm with Mati Carbon. We are one of the leading enhanced rock weathering developers in Global South. We are active in India and in East Africa, in Zambia, Tanzania, rapidly scaling.
Yeah, as the rock breaks down, releasing all these nutrients into the soil, which benefits the soil, the crops. And to me, that just seems like an incredible solution. And once those bicarbonate reaches the ocean, you get this fourth win of reversing some like ocean acidification, but that's many years down the line, so I'm not really counting that. But it just seems like, you know, really too great to be true, and it can scale so quickly because the materials there, we estimate there are hundreds of million tons of byproduct being generated every year, and the farmlands are already there. And as you saw in the previous photo, in certain parts of the world, it can have huge impact on the quality of the yields and the crop because fertilizers are expensive, lime is expensive, so not everybody can keep optimum soil pH, soil nutrient levels for growth, and in certain parts you can have huge impacts. Yeah, even in the UK, we did our trials with Newcastle University, which we published last year, which saw still a 15% yield response.
There are other things as well, like reducing the need for commercially produced fertilizer, which accounts for quite a significant percentage of carbon emissions. So if we can use rock dust instead of fertilizer to enhance the soil properties.
And pesticides.
And yeah, exactly, and reduce the use of pesticides. There are all sorts of benefits to outside of just the direct carbon removal that's happening as part of
Carbon financing fist bump. I took it from Air Minus. Grab a ton of CO2 and lock it away. We add an extra step. So grab a ton of CO2, put it on a capital stack, and put it away and fist bump. That's how you do it. Okay, do it again. Grab a ton of CO2, put it on a capital stack, and then lock it. Okay, wrap it and fist bump. Great, I like this. This is a co-creating, guys. We do it. Okay, grab a ton of CO2, put it on a capital stack, and then wrap it There's a capital wrapper and then fist bump. This is carbon finance and fist bump. What's next? Next month I will be. My goal is to have these kind of conversations every 4 to 6 weeks. I don't know where this path will lead me to, but I'm going to commit to this path as long as I can. I will commit to the climate journey and hope people who are in this room will be on the journey with me. Let's make climate cool again. Yeah. Let's have the orange plus banana plus kiwi, and then apple people. I consider this is good turnout in a very packed day, so appreciate everyone to be here. Everyone please scan the QR code, because everyone in climate has a role to play and we're going to write the story together. Thanks so much for coming today. And James, I need to give a shout out to James. James is the head of partnership in Planet Mark. And so for people who don't know me, I'm Lydia. I used to be an investment banker for 10 years. Now I'm doing my carbon financing venture, which is called Seoi.Cure CDR. The pronunciation is, I use secure as securitization. Soi is the Cantonese pronunciation of water. And water resembles a lot of things, life force, liquidity, many good things that we need in this world. CDR stands for, as we all know, carbon dioxide removal. In some other room, I need to explain CDR actually means carbon dioxide removal. In some other rooms, it means, for example, credit default rate and that kind of stuff. I love running these kind of events, not because I'm an event manager, it's just because I think we need a lot more voice and smart brains together in the same room so we can uncover the best ways to scale climate and more in the niche, today's niche in ERW. Yeah, and this is our housekeeping. We're gonna be here to give each other full attention for 2 hours. Yeah, it's a co-created time. I need to give a few minutes to James. He's going to share a few things about Planet Mark.
When it comes to Planet Mark, we're a net zero consultancy, specifically a certification body. So what we do is try and help businesses of all size, from big PLCs down to small SMEs, try and achieve the 90% reduction targets by 2050. And core to that is carbon removal and high quality carbon removal credits. So yeah, we work with loads of businesses, really keen to hear all of your opinions today because it really impacts the work that we do. And well, every business in the UK and the world. So yeah, really nice to meet you. Enjoy the space.
Great people and great space here. I can only say that. Without further ado, today we have, as you can see, we have only 4 people here, but because some people have very busy schedule, but then he's on his way, I promise. And we have paper, scissors, rock, million tons. That's our theme today. And this is the interactive one. If ERW was a fruit, what fruit would it be right now? Coconut. I didn't know you can type emoji. Yeah. Walnut, is walnut a fruit?
It is something.
I did something. Very creative. Your current understanding about ERW? Everyone is in 3. I think the previous mingle has helped a lot, I believe. Awesome. So this is today's flow. First, we have ERW in a nutshell, which we have Xinran here. Then we have 2 panels. Panel A is my ERW moment, and then breakout, and then panel B and breakout 2. Here's a clip from my conversation with Xinran a long time ago.
All the time anyway, and we're just trying to lend Earth a helping hand by accelerating this process because many hands make light work. And best of all, as this rock dust is releasing nutrient, it's also helping to cool the planet, making it a nicer, happier place for all living things, including us, to live.
That the rock dust is like, you have a guardian angel who's looking after us, and then the rock dust is like the fairy
dust?
Fairy dust. So the rock dust is like the fairy dust that the guardian angels is looking after our planet.
And now I'm going to pass the mic to Xinran, and Xinran is going to tell us ERW in a nutshell.
Sure. My name is Xinran Liu. I'm the Director of Science, Research and Innovation at Undo, which is an enhanced rock weathering company based here in the UK. Prior to moving in this space, I worked for over a decade as a high-energy particle physicist, building large-scale detectors in deep underground mines, so it's nice to be out in daylight. And part of my specialty was large-scale project delivery and also material assays. So coming up with new detectors to measure things that's really difficult to measure. So ERW in a nutshell, it feels like everybody already has a good understanding of it, so I'll try to My summary I planned for this event for ERW is that before any enhancement, rock weathering is something that happens all around us, as we kind of briefly heard in that clip. So the really cool thing is that, yeah, this process has been happening on Earth for millions of years, and the process begins with rain falling through the atmosphere. As it's falling, the CO2 in the atmosphere dissolves into the rain to form carbonic acid, and when those carbonic acid falls, very mild carbonic acid, and when those carbonic acid falls onto silicate rocks, it reacts with those rocks, breaking it down. The carbonic acid is being converted then into bicarbonates, and along with those bicarbonates, cations like calcium, magnesium are also released, and those are washed by the rain into river systems, and then ultimately out to sea, where the bicarbonate lives and stays for a very long time. So geological times are tens to hundreds of thousands of years. So it's considered very high carbon removal. And nature's been doing a fantastic job. Scientists think something like 1 billion tons of CO2 is removed every year from our atmosphere using this natural weathering system. So yeah, this is part of our planet's natural carbon regulation system. As you heard in the clip there, nature does it really well, and we're trying to learn from that and see how we could learn from that technology and speed it up. So the enhancement part of enhanced rock weathering, there's two elements. So you can choose rock very carefully to make sure you're using rock that's particularly reactive and reacts fast. It's locking away a lot of carbon dioxide in a short amount of time. But the main part of enhanced rock weathering comes from just increasing the reactive surface area. So if you could powderize a lump of rock into a powder that's 100,000 times more surface area than the rock, then something that might have taken 1 million years to weather can now be fully weathered in just a few years. And I think my analogy I always give is like every morning I wake up to make coffee, and if I just chuck coffee beans into a French press, I'm going to wait a really long time to get a really depressing coffee. But if you grind the coffee up, you're opening up all the reactive surface areas, and then you can get a really potent brew very quickly. And it's the same process for enhanced rock weathering. So that's my ERW in a nutshell.
How fine does it have to be?
The finer it is, the more reactive surface area you're opening up. It's just a volume to surface question, right? Like, you mean the reason my child, my 3-year-old, gets colder and hotter a lot more than me is because her surface area to volume is much more surface area volume than I have as an adult. And so the finer we can grind the rock, the higher the surface area typically versus the volume. So then you can speed up the reaction. But typically, I think anything that's kind of we're talking about less than 4 millimeter products generally for enhanced rock weathering.
Can you visualize 4 millimeters is like how big?
Yeah, so
it's like a sandwich.
Yeah, so what would be a good analogy? Probably like, since we're talking about fruits, something just slightly bigger than like those seeds on strawberries or something.
Oh yeah, that's a good visualization.
As the kind of general, that or smaller is generally the size.
It's not like a grain of sand, or it's bigger.
Yeah, I think
it's bigger than the sand.
Probably a little bit bigger. I mean, it's anything smaller than kind of 4 millimeters is generally pretty good for rock weathering.
You've worked on the metaphor.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so this is our lightning overview. In every single one of the events like this, Carbon Removal Breakfast Club, Carbon Removal Finance Meetup, we're going to open the event by a real scientist who's working in the field. I love these kind of conversations in general, because I think I myself worked 10 years in investment bank. I work in structured finance and then fundraising, but if people who don't understand the risk, there's no way they can price it. And that's why it's very important to understand the very, very basic level, what kind of risk that you're facing, what kind of industry that you're going into. And that's why we have these kind of conversations. And we're going to the first panel. Before we do that, which headline challenge feels most urgent in ERW today? I believe, judging by the knowledge level of today's audience, everyone will be able to vote and see. Oh, great. I think every climate technology needs a good story. And this is why our another panelist just arrived on time. Please join us. And this is why we are going to talk about how the moment ERW clicked for me, from all the panelists, this is the story time. Now we have everyone. Perfect timing. I will start by myself. So
The time that ERW clicked for me is when I was working for Barclays. I actually went to Andu's field trip, and I was sitting there with all the ERW scientists. I went to the first ERW event. I remember Xinran was organizing that. He's like, organizing events is like hosting a wedding. I can definitely second that. I was like, and I was sitting there, I remember people are telling everyone about the scale of the climate that we need to deal with and how much rock is actually there. For like the basalt is the most majority type of rocks. And people have been doing that for hundreds of thousands of years, especially in some of the places in Southeast Asia. I'm born and raised in mainland China. I can see those fields, actually, there are a lot of volcanic rocks. So that's the moment that it clicks for me. I actually went to the field and see how the yield enhancement has been done. And one sentence of what I do, now I have the Seoi.Cure CDR. You can see it from the logo there. Seoi is the Cantonese pronunciation of water. Secure means secure the planet, secure the future, securitize the financing instrument that we need to build. I do finance for climate, and I also create content for impact. That's what I do. I will pass on. The first one is Ashish.
Thank you, Lydia. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. So my name is Ashish Kumar. I'm with Carbon. We are one of the leading enhanced rock weathering developers in Global South. We are active in India and in East Africa, in Zambia, Tanzania, rapidly scaling. My experience over the last decade, I've been in sort of broadly impact investing and climate finance for a number of years, and had the opportunity to fund a lot of climate mitigation projects and along in the Global South. And while also working on a number of digital MRV, innovations which I was backing, I realized that, if you look at adaptation versus mitigation, there's like more than 94% of the funding goes to mitigation from a macro perspective, and there's more than $300 billion annual gap in adaptation resilience financing. So when I came across ERW through my friends and through my founder Shantanu, I realized that it is unique in a number of ways. What you see here as a picture is some of our early trials in Zambia. It's just one planting season, and you see the difference, in terms of the yield. I should, put a disclaimer, it's the one season, so we wouldn't claim that, okay, this is permanent, so we need to at least have around 2-3 planting season data. However, there is some encouraging results here on just the yield. The reason that is happening is, just to complement what Zenon is saying, when you do that weathering, a lot of micronutrients come out, like calcium, magnesium, and others, which enrich the soil. It's like agronomic benefits, which leads to almost 20 to 30% yield increase in the soil and for the farmers. In degraded soil, it can go up to 60-70% increase. While in normal, very fertile soils, it can be just 10%. So averaged out is like 20-30%. So this is a powerful moment for me, but at the same time, because it enriches the water retention capacity and all, so it it boosts the resilience, for the communities as well. So that's why I find ERW unique, not just as a permanent carbon removal, carbon mitigation, but also addressing the adaptation resilience gap for those smallholder communities. So yeah, I'll pause there.
Great, thanks. Actually, a funny story, I met Ashish because of introduction from Lisbon. I was talking to my friend who's an impact investing journalist. She's like, you might want to meet Ashish. It's just a long way to say, I think everyone who work in climate want to make this ecosystem to scale. We all have a way to meet, and this is one of those spaces that I want to create for people to meet as well. The next one, Xinran.
Okay, cool. I realized this was my story, so I kind of deliberately held some stuff back. I think the moment enhanced rock weathering clicked for me is so I was thinking about leaving particle physics, looking around the space in carbon removal, and I came across enhanced rock weathering, and I really described it as this win-win-win technology, because not only because right now no one is actually actively out there crushing rocks, because there is a large aggregate industry globally that's demonstrated you can blast and crush basaltic rock in the multi-gigaton scale, right? So, and when they crush it and they use it for roads and building industries, but when they crush it, the fraction they don't currently have a use for typically is the ultra fine fraction, the sub 4 mil, sub 2 mil, depending on where you are in the world. fraction because it's kind of too fine. So you have this byproduct that's generated and left in huge stockpiles, 10, 12, like 15-meter high stockpiles, that's kind of not being used for any other purpose. And when left on its own, the stockpile forms a crust, so you don't have much natural weathering in the stockpiles. But when you can distribute it onto farmland, and the really cool thing there, the second big win is that you don't need to change land use practices at all, right? You can use existing roads, infrastructures to haul and spread your material. It can be spread with equipment farmers already have. We typically spread it with lime spreaders. So farmers already have that machinery to spread lime on their field already. And once it's down, you just let nature do the work. When it rains, you're removing CO2, so that's a big win. But then the other big win is, as the rock breaks down, you're releasing all these nutrients into the soil, which benefits the soil, the crops. And to me, that just seems like an incredible solution. And once those bicarbonate reaches the ocean, you get this fourth win of reversing some like ocean acidification, but that's many years down the line, so I'm not really counting that. But it just seems like, really too great to be true, and it can scale so quickly because the material's there. We estimate there are hundreds of million tons of byproduct being generated every year, and the farmland's already there. And as you saw in the previous photo, in certain parts of the world, it can have huge impact on the quality of the yields and the crop, because fertilizers are expensive, lime is expensive, so not everybody can keep optimum soil pH, soil nutrient levels for growth, and in certain parts you can have huge impacts. Even in the UK, we did our trials with Newcastle University, which we published last year, which saw still a 15% yield response. But it kind of depends on what the soil is missing and what is there. But really, I think in a world with CDR's table stakes, the co-benefit definitely sets enhanced rock weathering apart. Like, it's improving water, soil's ability to retain water. The extra silicon being released strengthens cell walls that makes the crop more pest resilient. It's really just an incredible technology. If we can get it to large scale, it can really benefit a lot of people.
Yeah, I like how it feels like it's a very scientific panel. The next one, we have a senior product manager from Isometric, Katie, here.
Hi everyone, nice to be here. My name's Katie L. I'm a product manager at Isometric, which is a standards body for carbon removal projects and a carbon credit registry. We focus on high quality carbon removal, like durable paths. I work as a product manager there, so working on, in particular, I've been there for 7 months and worked a lot on ingesting enhanced weathering data into Seoi.Cure, which is our verification platform for suppliers and verifiers. And the whole point is to make verifications of enhanced weathering projects and other pathways as quick and easy as possible for everyone involved, so everyone can get their money quickly, whilst also ensuring we hold up that high bar of scientific rigor. So our protocol is the most heavily prescriptive in terms of what we need to see to actually evidence the amount of carbon removal that's taken place. And we're always kind of updating our protocol as well when we learn more about the process and how to quantify different losses and things. For me, enhanced weathering, I actually have only been in the climate space in my work life for the last 7 months since I joined Isometric, but I've always been interested in it, and I read the CDR primer a few years ago actually.
Just out of my own interest, and even then I kind of thought that enhanced weathering sounded pretty cool, but actually now working in the space, I think for me it's the fact that it's able to scale, as the other panelists have already mentioned, the fact that it's using existing infrastructure, there's farmland everywhere, the fact that there's waste products from the mining industry that we can use to actually remove carbon from the atmosphere, I just think is really exciting and promising, and especially when you consider all of the co-benefits. We've already talked about some of those with increased crop yields. There are other things as well, like reducing the need for commercially produced fertilizer, which accounts for quite a significant percentage of carbon emissions. So if we can use rock dust instead of fertilizer to enhance the soil properties, and also potentially and reduce the use of pesticides, there are all sorts of benefits too. There's outside of just the direct carbon removal that's happening as well.
Just all good. What is this? I asked everyone to submit a picture. Is this a representation of your work or Isometric?
I use AI to generate this, obviously.
What's the prompt for the AI?
Basically, my prompt was
I think that enhanced weathering is really promising and can really help us to like solve climate change. It has a really big role to play in that, but it's not the easiest path, as I'm sure we'll come to later. MRV is difficult and expensive, and I think that's going to be one of the topics we're going to discuss today. Is like, how do we kind of navigate what is currently very difficult to get to the kind of promised land that we all have that shared belief in, I guess.
Right. Yeah.
Next is Tom.
My name's Tom Merriman, for those who don't know. My father is Professor Richard Merriman, a geologist who's published over 100 papers. The fact that I'm not a geologist or a scientist in any way has long been a source of disappointment to him. He tends to think of things in a sort of geological time frame, and I feel like I've kept you guys waiting for a geologically meaningful amount of time since I turned up today. ERW presented an opportunity for me to demonstrate to him the importance that finance can have in a geological time frame. So taking carbon from the atmosphere and putting it into the long carbon cycle. Not the short carbon cycle like we see with trees and so forth, which is very important too, but the long carbon cycle. I'm one of the co-founders of KETA. We provide insurance for carbon removal projects. This diagram I use to show to actuaries across our insurance capacity providers. So we are backed by Chaucer, which is China Re's syndicate in the London market, Munich Re, who you may have heard of, who are a very large reinsurer, and then Tokyo Marine, who is not necessarily a household name, but they are Mitsubishi's insurer and one of the world's largest. I use this diagram and a much longer presentation to explain to them the risks inherent in enhanced rock weathering projects so that they would let us provide insurance for it. Why is insurance important? Because it unlocks finance. It's difficult to lend money to enhanced rock weathering projects because you're unsure ultimately how many credits are going to be produced if that's what you're securing your lending on. Whereas with insurance, you can get an insured tranche which at least will say, well, if the project goes wrong, then you will get some of your money back or all of your money back depending on the insurance. And that's what lenders, specialist lenders, it's what banks, it's what others need in order to deploy capital into this market. There's no necessarily eureka moment other than the conversation I had over the kitchen table about how ERW works and how it involves the long carbon cycle, and a modicum of sort of relief from my father that I'd actually grasped the scientific science. But this is important, and it's important to KETA because insurance really is a volume game. You can't, if I just insure these guys on the panel here for their car insurance, for example, it's not a very well diversified panel. There's only, 5 of us, right? Maybe 4 if I'm not including myself. But if I insure everyone in this room and the people downstairs and I've got a few hundred people, then I've got diversification, and that reduces I get a reversion to me. So I'm much more likely to see get the right end of the distribution for my insurance. And it's the same in the carbon markets. If we insure only afforestation projects in South Africa and South America, we'll get very concentrated risk in that area. What we need to do is insure carbon projects around the world with lots of different carbon removal approaches. That's how to diversify the risk, that's how to reduce it, and ultimately that's how to get our big capacity panel to deploy more capital into this market so we can insure more projects and ultimately get people to lend more money and invest in these projects.
Right. I'll just second that because I work in structured finance securitization. I just came back from one of the biggest structured finance conferences called Global ABS. When people talked about a new asset class or any type of asset class they want to do structured finance, the first question, no matter what kind of asset class you're talking about, is whether you're going to be able to insure the risk. It's like a wrapper. Whoever going to wrap it, it could be insurance, it could be government, it could be some kind of first loss client, catalytic capital. But that's the first question people ask. Can you insure it? And then my next answer will be, yeah, there's already specialized insurance companies who are doing this, and that's why we're sitting here together in this panel.
That's the first panel. What's the one thing that you learn about ERW from this panel? The role of insurance. 30% yield uplift. Do we have that much?
We have that much.
No, cool.
And that's like average. You guys have that much as well.
Yeah.
Tropical soils.
Yes.
Strawberry seed size is best. I love that. I learned how to more easily explain ERW. Nice. I learned that too. You've improved your metaphor from our podcast days. Sorting the circle prompts. Will benefit insurance, rock size, scaling. Awesome. Now it's the time that you've been waiting for ever. For people who just came, please pick a fruit because that's very, very important. You're gonna find your same fruit buddies. This is our first breakout called rock, paper, roadblock. Find the same fruit buddy, form into groups. We have 4 groups. Can Apple all go to one place? How do we speed run ERW models to the same acceptance level as allometric models? This is a very technical prompt from Tom. So Tom, please lead your group of Apple to somewhere. Yeah. So Tom is going to go to the Apple group. The second group is banana. Can bananas raise their hand? Only 2. Oh, you are going to go with Xinran. The scientific confidence spheres climate benefit was the right trade-off line. Table 3 is Kiwi. Can we have Kiwi? 3. Kiwi people will go, how can ERW developers bridge the gap between incurring rock spreading costs now and getting paid for durable storage later? This is the question from Katie. So you have a beautiful Katie here. Orange people, a lot of vitamin C. So the orange, how do we diversify and grow the buyer base for durable CDR? This is a question from Ashish. So yeah, now we have the breakout, please. We have 20 minutes. Time is up. I hope you've discussed about the prompt for real. And if you have discussed about the prompt, you'll be able to say one actionable hack around the topic that you just talked about. Financing wrappers. Scientific consensus. What kind of consensus we need?
Yeah, well, so one of our discussions was more confidence. There needs to be more agreement on certain things between the community.
Oh, yes.
And I think different voices that don't agree kind of creates more uncertainty in the space.
How do you feel about the roadblocks now? Just 1 or 2 words. This is also a word cloud. Hopefully this is easier. Yes. No, yes is a good answer. Because yes can open many different kind of solutions. Yes, we're still here. Motivated, right? Workable. Every year there's so many different kind of climate week. I don't know how you guys feel about it. And then I was just like, how many climate week do I need to go? For how many more years can we solve the problem? Right. Pragmatic versus science. Great. Okay, let's talk about money. Investors should only get paid after each ton of CO2 has been permanently stored. What's your opinion? So there's 3 options. Agree 100%.
You mean investors should pay? Or
should get paid.
Only get paid.
There should
Get
be
the
more
return on
options
investment.
there.
Is it buyer? Is it
Investors.
suppliers?
Investors.
Equity investors.
Equity or debt
Under
investors.
the project.
Yeah. Whatever way that you want to interpret it. We're not trying to come up with perfect idea here.
There is a better way.
There is a better way.
Already. It's not mostly.
Oh, you guys are doing really interesting financing.
That's why we're
Yes.
having this question,
Yes, I want to
guys.
know more about it.
That's why we have this panel. Don't get ahead of ourselves. It's by design, okay? So I want everyone to stand up because I just invented this carbon financing fist bump. I took it from Air Minus. Air Minus has a carbon, grab a ton of CO2 and lock it away. We add an extra step. So everyone find another person to grab a ton of CO2, put it on a capital stack, and put it away and fist bump. That's how you do it. Okay, do it again. Grab a ton of CO2, put it on a capital stack, and then lock it. Okay, wrap it, and fist them. Great, I like this. This is a co-creating, guys. Okay, we do it. Okay, grab a ton of CO2, put it on a capital stack, and then wrap it. There's a capital wrapper, and then fist bump. This is carbon finance and fist bump. I love it. Great. And now, when everyone is warm up, we have our second panel. Unlocking the first million tons. Everyone loves my first million, right? First million tons, first $1 million, whatever. So we have 5 options. Which one are you going to drop your £100 chip? It could be 100,000, 100 million. MRV, CapEx, farmers, adoption, insurance, and policy.
Which one will
you prioritize your money
Yeah.
if you're working in this space? MRV. I guess the breakout groups has done a lot of work for this. So the next panel, our panelists is going to share their opinions. First one is Tom.
Yes, in the CapEx, why would I say that? The key part for all of this is the demand side, so making sure people, companies, are sufficiently motivated to buy this stuff. Once you do that, that then unlocks the CapEx, but you have to preempt some of the volume that would be required. For example, if you're going to put some removal into the EU ETS, and that requires a bit of CapEx up front. We're starting to see that with some of the folks that we work with who are anticipating that there will be a supply crunch towards the end of the decade, and they want to secure supply now by investing. They're using their own balance sheet to invest now, and we need a bit more of that.
Next is Katie.
I put mine on MRV cost. At the moment, enhanced weathering credits are quite expensive, and that is because it costs a lot of money to actually go through the verification process in order to actually quantify how much carbon has been removed. We need to do everything we can to kind of get that down to make it a more attractive investment for people. I think it is possible as well. I think everyone's kind of agreed that model-based quantification is kind of like the way to go, but we're still very much in the realm of collecting the data we need to actually build out those models and understand more around how the system works. So yeah, I would put mine on MRV costs so that we can invest in working out what those models should be, collecting all the data that we need to calibrate them, validate them, etc., so that we can bring that cost down.
Yeah, the next one is someone who has been collecting the data.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I totally agree with everything said, and I think it's really important for MRV cost to come down, but also for MRV to improve over time, to give people more confidence in the credits that's being generated through enhanced rock weathering. And I think like the way we do it today is very expensive because it's very labor intensive. We're using very high density measurements and lots of redundancies built in order to measure this process, so that to give us confidence in this early stage that these removals are taking place, and we're taking heavy deductions to give us confidence in those credits. But I think that's kind of not really scalable to the gigaton scale if we want to do anything meaningful, or the megaton scale, sorry, that's the theme of this panel, is the million ton. Even at a million ton, I think I at some point estimated we would end up with something like 200, 300,000 soil samples, and I would fill out every single lab I can think of in the world for many years just churning through those samples, right? So it's not, so it's not really a practical way to do it how we do it today. So we need better MRV that gives more confidence and also drives down cost over time.
Right. Speaking of a new financing model.
Yeah, well, I think I would say MRV cost and CapEx are kind of equivalent. You know, it's just like you need quite a bit of infrastructure for different type of technologies out there, be it direct air capture or ERW. You know, if you look at relative difference, I'd say ERW is lesser CapEx. But what we are trying to do at Monty is what I call reimagining the capital stack, because we fundamentally believe that for a lot of like early stages of, let's say, ERW or carbon removal, setup, which is like proving the MRB works in a region or not. That requires a lot of patient capital, ideally. So that's where using grant or concession that thing to sort of have that set up. And then once that is kind of established, let's say in our India operations established, we are trying to look at the operating company level how you can do more project financing rather than pure venture-based. And that project financing has a different cash flow profile, and it had through a franchising model, if you can scale it much more rapidly and have the right sort of construct with the topco company, and it has much better return profile. So the opco and topco financing looks different for us, and that is I would say one way to look at a number of climate tech solutions, not just ERW, not just CDR, but what you hear in the market around folk, first of a kind capital, early stage infrastructure challenge, that needs to be addressed through different type of financing. Equity venture-based financing is needed, however is not most suitable in all the scenarios. So we are trying to experiment and have a bit of, and that's where insurance also plays a role in terms of not just providing a wrapper, but like playing a part in the capital stack. The work we are doing with JP Morgan, for example, we are using a foundation money, Schmidt Family Foundation, to provide a first loss, cash collateralized, that could allow for that de-risking to happen at early stage.
Yeah, I want to add to that because in the financial engineering world, I hate to hear people say that this thing is not bankable. I think everything's bankable if you understand the risk and price it.
Exactly.
And if you price it, you understand the risk and you find a way to wrap the risk, there's a lot of things can be bankable. I talk to people in securitization. They price and finance many different kind of things as funky as artwork, as royalties, as like the plates in New York City, taxi driver, aircraft, anything. The thing is, if the market is not going to scale, then we cannot capture the attention. It's an attention economy. If you cannot fight for their 24 hours, they're going to focus on billion-dollar deals. And that's why we need all the help that we can in this market to scale whatever the buyers demand and understanding in science. These kind of conversations need to happen a lot more than just talking about the same thing again and again.
Imagine, maybe one more thing out of, imagine all the financial firepower that went on to designing CLOs and MBS, all those structured finance products. Even if 10% of that goes into the structured finance need in our nascent markets, that could do wonders. The way I say it is like putting climate on the balance sheet wholesomely.
I would like to share, I think in the structured finance conference I just went to, I can see that the trend has been shifting. It's already, we have seen more discussion around renewable and energy projects, and people are seeking for the next frontier of where to invest in. Like they're really looking for the premium where it is. So we just need to educate them and tell them what it is. Now I want to hear people's view about what do you think about the per ton for ERW you expect by 2030. Very promising. Why is 450 very expensive?
So those MRV costs.
And that's dollar, by the way, not pound.
Okay.
Can I ask a question about what you were just saying? So how does that work, the first loss capital? Are we talking about projects that have an offtake? And how big does that offtake need to be? Or does it need to be a counterparty that is financeable? So what are the different boxes you need to take to create a structure like the one that you
So in some cases it depends on how much sort of collateralization you need. So in our case, in this particular instance, it's cash collateralized, So if you have like high percentage of cash collateral available, then the amount of offtake you need for that is not that much. But if you're only having let's say 10-20% of what you call FLDGs, first loss default guarantee type structures, that's where you can use much more of the customer contracts to kind of de-risk it further, where you have clear cash flow coming in, or where even if you have some insurance sort of de-risking available, that could allow for. So the leverage figure can vary. In some structures, I did it in my past job, the leverage was much higher, like 1:10, 1:15 for grant.
the opportunity that I usually pitch to people in the structured finance world is these companies are selling future cash flow. In April and May alone, you have more than 700 million being sold to Microsoft. That's what gets people's attention. In the financing world, it's put aside whether it's good for planet or not, you just need to have a good business model. You need to have a good business model, you need to understand what kind of risk you're betting on, who is going to pay for this carbon ton. So if in this case, some of my mentors and friends, they were like, yeah, it's high quality cash flow for the next 12 years. And the next question is, what happened if these startups go bust? And then you were like, yeah, it's being read by first loss capital, it's going to be insured by insurance, and then that solves half the problem, right? And then the rest of it is how you structure and tranche and slice the capital stack for it to work. So now we have the breakout too. I know some people have already eaten their fruit, but just remember what you have and get a new fruit, and then you're going to find 3 different kind of fruits to go together, like a group of 3 to 4. We're going to the second breakout, my first million milestone. So what happened is, you've heard a lot of challenges and some brilliant first steps. What are you going to do? Pick your ERW risk lever at your table. Quickly agree on one key risk. What are you going to do for the next 90 days and within 12 months? And then, so I think first, let's have the orange plus banana plus kiwi, and then apple people, they have eaten their apple, just join one of them. So please go ahead. The goal is not to finish the conversation here, the goal is to start the conversation here. So everyone can continue their conversation after this event. It should be a first conversation of many conversations. If you can put a headline here. Education. Oh, everyone has a different opinion. That's great. Build consensus. What's one question you've always wanted to ask about? Just now we've already discussed a lot, so we can skip this.
Is there time for me to ask a question?
Yes.
Okay. I think, like, obviously as the science person and being involved in the science discussions, I think some of the solutions we had was like the scientific community needs to come together, because like what's been done so far, I would say, is like they've kind of proven the technology out through laptop experiments, closed system things, and run small demonstrator trials in research farms, and the commercial companies are doing this on large scale deployments. But I think the academic community actually now should really come together instead of kind of 30 plus individual universities doing their own little thing with funding to run trials for like a few hundred days, but never very high quality trials. They should really pool their resources, come together, move forward as a unity, so that they can accelerate the research faster, and all the research data then is comparable. If you standardize your measurement techniques, standardize your lab analysis,
industry data,
industry data, then you can kind of, all the data is easily comparable, and the field would get there much quicker. But for the academic community to come together, so I'm trying to do that in the UK, but the challenge is, you essentially need to get like a white paper written, get a few hundred signatures from scientists, and then we're going to take it to like UK funding agency and ask for like 100 million to support 10 years of research dished out based on my hitting milestones, right? But my question is, that process would be, and this is what particle physics does. Like, we can no longer afford to build detectors. Like the Large Hadron Collider in CERN, that was 88 countries, 14 billion euros over 20 years, right? Because no country can afford that. So I think that's what ERW needs. But this would be a lot easier to get any research council to swallow if there were a matched funding from an outside entity that would support the research, like philanthropies. Or philanthropies, yeah. But my question to the room is like, can anybody give me an idea of where I can get like 50 million to support academic research?
Who can give money?
Everyone is putting on the 50 million.
Yeah, but if anybody has any great, like my point is like, if I go to the UK government, I said like, if you give me 50 million, this is match funded by some outside. Like, if we think ERW is a cool climate solution, but it needs more science acceleration to prove it out, then like really like 100 million investment to demonstrate a new CDR technology is really not very much, right, in the grand scheme of things. But the problem right now is like with all research councils globally, they're like super strapped for funding. So they're barely keeping research as it is. So if you want to propose something new, it's very attractive if you could have match funding from any sources that you can, if there are philanthropists or sources to do that. But if you have great ideas, please let me know.
Yeah, people should reach out to you offline. We have 2 questions. Maybe you pick one. Why buyers should buy ERW credits instead of biochar? I don't know when any panelists want to take on this question. My view is all the credits should be scaled at the same time. There shouldn't be like one is better than the other. But of course, along the way, there some will not as good as the other. But as of now,
I think it's a portfolio approach. I would say, you have different sort of characteristics of each type of pathways or technologies. So, as a ERW company, we would love to say ERW, but from a sector perspective, we need all types of credits.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think, I guess enhanced weathering and biochar are both essentially taking like different waste products and processing them in different ways to capture CO2. And we need both.
And different co-benefits.
Yeah, different co-benefits. I think we need both.
Yeah, this panel is designed to have both at the beginning, but we are going to split. We're going to spin off the biochar in either September or October, so stay tuned. We'll have a similar format after this one.
Wait, sorry, can I just add one thing on the first question there?
I don't understand the first question.
Oh, I don't know if the person who asked means like they can be deployed at the same time.
It's a good question.
And I think there are trials where you could deploy enhanced rock weathering with biochar together, and they've been shown that it speeds up weathering, it's more water. So it's overall it's great for both technologies, but I think it makes the MRV component of enhanced weathering a lot harder.
Yeah.
Because the biochar has what I would describe as like lots of little holes. So when the enhanced rock weathering releases all those cations, it's then moving on to the biochar exchange sites. So the biochar is then holding on to all these cations, and unless those cations leave the soil, you don't have CDR. So the biochar is essentially delaying your crediting. Yeah. So from an enhanced weathering perspective, it's challenging for MRV and crediting to do them together.
Speaking of MRV, there is a third question. What is the next step for ERW to bring down price? I think a lot has to do with MRV.
Yeah, I think
lab infrastructure, scale, economies of scale.
Yeah.
Awesome. How comfortable are you explaining ERW to someone else now? This should be easy goal. It's very exciting to see this live update. What's your feeling about ERW now? Hopeful. Nice. I didn't know that you can do emojis. This is great.
I did not work out how to do an emoji.
Lots of love.
Challenges. Should have put on that.
Hey, somebody did a coconut tree reference.
Yeah. I will ask each panelist to share one exciting piece of news. Go from top. Anything exciting?
I saw the announcement of the coalition this morning between the UK government, Indonesia, Kenya, and a bunch of others whose names I can't remember, about their carbon buying initiative, which sounds like it could be quite promising. So let's hope something comes of that.
Ashish.
You mean on this topic or generally?
Generally, anything. In life or at work, whatever.
Inspired.
Inspired, okay.
I think the enhanced weathering community is kept coming together and growing, which is nice. We went to the Enhanced Rock Weathering Conference for the 3rd year running, and now it's gone from 100 people over half a day to now 200, like 160 people over 3 days. So it's nice to see.
Yeah, that was cool. And I guess, one positive piece of news, I guess, is that we're seeing like the number of projects going through verifications increasing at like an exciting rate, and so that fills me with a lot of hope for where things are going and the fact that we can make this work.
Yeah, my exciting piece of news is people are willing to come to the event and stay until the end with us. What is your unexpected learning from today? coffee. Thank you. 2 hours very well spent. Oh.
I don't know what people do for 3 days talking about the topic, but I think 2 hours were very, very good. So
Thank you.
Yeah, there's a lot of time.
I went to the ERW conference for the first time in my life. I was like, I do not understand a thing. You know, these people are so smart.
You do like geochemical modeling conference?
No, not much modeling was even discussed. We didn't even touch that, so that's like something. Yeah. People were asking for it to be longer next year, so we'll see.
Oh no. What's one?
Yeah.
Lots of credits coming, really?
Maybe.
That's good. I think what's giving me hope is like now people outside of climate start to talk about climate. And it's a lot more about how to make it pragmatic than just to morally good. That's what's giving me hope, because if we want to scale it up, I think it needs to make business sense. Okay. Now, we have reached the giveaway point. Everyone who has been here and still here, you have a name here. So I'm gonna ask someone, Xing, you pick one.
All right.
And then.
Oh man, the pressure.
I thought you were really into it.
I thought the giveaway was fruits. So
It's not fruit. It's not fruit. Yogurt.
Oh, okay. Vivian.
Oh, she has left.
Oh. Oh man.
It's always happening like this. His name?
Wolfgang.
Oh, Wolfgang. So I run these kind of events. It's not because I'm an event manager. It's because of this book. It's called 2 Hour Cocktail Party. So it tells you, it applies to anything in life. You can run your own events, ask 10 friends come to you. And the author shipped 4 books to me. And this is one of the 2 left.
This is very lovely.
We have another one. I feel free to reach out to Nick Gray, by the way. He has a museum hack business and he sold that business. Now he's just doing, I don't know what he does, but enjoy life.
What if it is my name?
And then you can hack that too.
Katie.
Oh! Yes, this is the one last book I have. Next time I need to figure out something else.
Thank you.
What's next? Next month I will be in Toronto. We're going to do another one. It could be smaller scale without recording and everything. My goal is to have these kind of conversations every 4 to 6 weeks. I don't know where this path will lead me to, but I'm going to commit to this path as long as I can. I will commit to the climate journey and hope people who are in this room will be on the journey with me. I'm not going to set up as a motivational speaker, but this is how we end up. But yeah, follow us on YouTube. I started this new YouTube channel, Carbon Removal Breakfast Club. All of today's recording, I hope there's no technical issues, will be there after the edit. So you're not going to see the chaotic eating fruits scene, but it's going to be all the meats, all the content will be there. Finally, the reason why I don't allow people to eat their fruit is because we're going to take a selfie. 1, 2, 3. Let's make climate cool again. Yes. Great. So this is the end. If you want to follow us, we have this QR code for everything that we do in Seoi.Cure CDR. This has all the links about our Carbon Removal Breakfast Club, about Bite-Sized Climate. Thank you so much for coming. Climate Mark has kindly sponsored the beer. If people want to go to the kitchen, you can have a beer.
The fridge is yours.
Yes, the fridge is yours. And yeah.